I've been using the MacBook Air M1 for the last 2 months in my projects, and I believe that I've spent enough time with it in order to come up with a trustworthy review that will touch upon its best features and flaws. First of all, let's talk about the processor. If you've already searched videos about the M1's processing power when it comes to audio production, then you haven't had much luck. Most videos you probably found test the CPU on a video game or renders of images, but these tests aren't the best representation of the laptop's chip. The CPU can run anything you throw at it with ease and manages to stay cool for long periods of time, of course depending on what you're working on. For instance, this is a session of an upcoming project of mine. It contains 53 channels running 10 different amp sims, multiple MIDI instruments, vocal plugins and overall multiple effects. As you see, it runs smooth like butter, not even surpassing the 30% of CPU power usage. Now let's talk about the RAM. The base model comes loaded with 8 GB of RAM, which is very commonly found in modern day laptops. This should be enough for most projects, but if you're planning on using multiple orchestral plugins, MIDI instruments and effects, then you should probably go for the 16 GB version as I did, so as not to risk anything. The base model comes with a high-speed 256 GB SSD. It's a standard for modern day laptops to come with an SSD, and believe me, you won't have any problems with this one. This much storage is okay with me, but I'm sure other people would need the 512 GB or even the 1 TB version. If you're one of them, just know that the price skyrockets if you purchase a model with upgraded storage, so in that case I would recommend buying an external SSD. It's way cheaper and you have way more freedom in selecting the storage space. Even though graphics power doesn't have anything to do with audio production, the 7 graphics cores will be just enough for video editing in case you ever need to do that. In my last video I edited simultaneously 5 1080p 60fps videos along with a WAV file of the cover, and it ran perfectly smooth. The screen is a 13.3-inch Retina display with a resolution of 2560 by 1600 pixels and 400 nits of max brightness. Your eyes will never get tired of watching the screen, even in long sessions, letting you concentrate on your actual job rather than making it even more difficult with awful viewing angles like other laptop screens. I think it's even better than my 4K gaming mode, which is really crazy if you think about that. Its relatively small size, apart from being ideal for taking the laptop on the go and of course placing it on a desk, is one of the reasons that it has one of the best battery life performances. Depending on how heavy is the task you're doing, the battery life should last about 20 to 30 hours with a single charge. The laptop has a very sleek and modern look that feels premium. Its keyboard and mousepad are one of the best I've ever tried, and the backlit keys can feel really useful when doing some night sessions. Lastly, let's talk about the probably most important aspect about this laptop, the optimization of apps. I'm not talking about program interfaces, but the resource management that is happening behind the scenes. You will never see the performance drop, or even reach its limit. There will always be headroom for more stuff for you to add, and you will always have a smooth experience, unless of course it overheats. I'll get to that in a second. Now that I have said everything I wanted to say, let's get to the negatives. As a music producer, you probably have a MIDI keyboard, an audio interface, and all sorts of devices that you connect to your laptop or computer. Well, in this case you only get 2 USB Type-C ports and an audio jack. This basically means that you're gonna have to spend another 50 to 100 euros to get a USB Type-C hub in which you can connect your gear. It's kind of a fair trade. You get a slim and lightweight device but lose connectivity, something that doesn't actually bother me, at least as much as my next complaint. There is no cooling fan. Again, in favor of the design, you lose the cooling fan and the laptop replaces it with a passive cooling system. That means that you won't be able to do really heavy tasks on one long session as the performance drops in order to cool the laptop, which in my case happens about an hour in. This is an easily solvable problem as you can cool the laptop using a cooling stand for a cheap price, which actually solves the problem in its entirety. Lastly, I want to say a few words about Windows users changing over to macOS like I did. Just so you know, there will be a bit of a learning curve for the first week or so, where you will have troubles navigating through the OS and constantly trying to solve problems that slow your progress down. Small and annoying problems such as file paths and restrictions on software. For instance, after I was done setting up my Mac, I went on to load my projects in Reaper that I had previously worked on a Windows laptop. When I hit play, I would hear a terrible scratchy noise that wouldn't let me hear anything. After a couple of hours, I realized that the file paths of the IRs for my guitars were placed in a non-existent file, where the system couldn't recognize them, thus running the guitars without a cab. Or when I tried scanning open source software and that didn't work, obviously. It's those kind of problems that you'll have to face in the beginning, but later on, you'll be just fine. In conclusion, this is an amazing device specially designed for this kind of task that will perform even better than a multi-thousand euro gaming rig. It's an all-in-one package that you won't find anywhere else. Thank you so much for staying until the end of the video. I really do hope that I was of some help. If so, drop a comment down below.